Testing. Oh, cool, it works. Great. In the 2016 election, I had the privilege of running canvassing operations in South Philadelphia for the losing team. Now, politics aside, there's something really magical about a bunch of strangers just coming together and mobilizing around something that we all see is just so much greater than ourselves. It's about 2 years ago now, and I still vividly remember the lines of volunteers wrapping around the block, the phone bankers crouched in the alley because we ran out of room in the office, and the volunteer canvassers who came from out of town, slept on couches, walked 12-hour shifts, and then in their spare time and on their own dime brought us food to eat. That was by far, being part of that, one of the most important things I've ever done, and probably the most American I've ever felt. So in our democracy, we have a chance to do that every year. But there's also something else coming up in 2020 that is also just as critical a part of our democracy that needs the same kind of attention and energy and passion as we dedicate to the elections, and that is the decennial census. The 2020 census is our one chance to ensure that there is federal funding and political representation that is fairly distributed across the country for the next decade. The state of California receives $76 billion a year that is impacted by the census count. This is money that goes to highways, preschools, libraries, parks, Head Start, Medicare, Medi-Cal, basically a ton of programs that impact all of us here and especially our kids. The 2010 census undercounted 1 million children in the US, and that resulted in $20 billion that could have gone to overcrowded classrooms or the shuttered Head Start programs or understaffed emergency rooms. This is an issue. 10 years is a long time. That's 2.5 presidential elections. A lot could change during that time, but by the time we do have a chance to revise that number, our kids who were 5 are now turning 15. So how does that impact life as we know it here? In California in 2010, there was also an undercount of 1 million people. 100,000 of them were in San Francisco. So this is one of the reasons why California is known as a donor state, because it costs the state $20,000 for every person who is not counted. So in the end, we are paying much more in federal taxes than what we're getting back. So the stakes are high, and we have a history of undercount. What else, right? Well, the 2020 census is the first census that's going to be conducted online. So we have some technology issues where we have people on the wrong side of the digital divide that's going to have issues with access. This is also the first census that will potentially have a question about your citizenship. So knowing in places like California, which is a very immigrant-heavy state, that's just not going to fly. So all of that said, the Government Accountability Office has rated the census as high risk, and the Bureau itself has projected that the self-response rate could be as low as 60%. The state of California is home to 10 of the 50 hardest to count counties in the country. So you do the math. So what to do about it? Community Connect Labs is a software provider. We work with governments and local organizations to use mobile technology to reach hard-to-reach populations. And the Census Outreach Project is going to mobilize 30,000 Californians to reach 500,000 plus of our most vulnerable neighbors to participate in the census. Now, we will focus on hard-to-count communities. So these are historically undercounted groups, low-income, minority, marginalized groups. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the majority of this 30,000 people and we're going to direct them to apply for census jobs as enumerators. You know, the people who come and knock on your door and ask the census questions if you don't participate. Now, these enumerators are really important because they are our last chance at getting the shot right. To make them more successful, they need to be people who speak the local languages. They need to reflect the communities that they're counting. And so we're going to shepherd, using our technology and our relationships, a pipeline of local qualified candidates that will make it through the hiring process. And then on the side, we will also create the partnerships and the infrastructures needed to make them successful. The rest of the 30,000 people we're going to direct to the front lines as canvassers and outreach workers. These are going to be messengers of truth. They're going to tell facts, and they're going to encourage hard-to-count communities to participate in the census before the enumerators are even deployed. These people will use mobile messaging technology not to replace their interactions, but to really amplify what they're doing. We have innovative technology, we have a strong relationship with the US Census Bureau, and we have a track record of working with local government and nonprofit organizations to get things done. We have worked across from Los Angeles to Fresno to San Jose, and we're really excited to get going. Because of your support, if you join us in this work, all of us here can say we all count, and together we are greater than the sum of our parts. Thank you very much.